Welcome, Sunday night, Sunday fam. Pa-pa-da. Welcome for another episode of a Survivor SA recap. That episode was 55 minutes of chaos. What I loved about it, and I messaged LaRue and let him know, I loved that episode because we had so much what was happening on the beach, what was happening at camp, who was talking to what was happening. And that was because there was only one challenge, which seemed very short. So we didn't have to stick around and have, long drawn out building blocks, going, fetching stuff. It was over in a matter of minutes. So 55 minutes of Survivor South Africa, and they just threw in so much scrambling. Reward and immunity challenge, pretty simple. Balance a thing of rice on your head. Before you start, you get to choose. Do you want to play for reward, which was pretty decent? Boerewors rolls. What kind of crazy person says no to that? And they're about 14 days, I think, when Carla did her exit interview. I think they're about 14 days in. Hi, Teresa, welcome. And after 14 days of rice, things start to go like a bit haywire. Someone dangles a boerewors roll in front of you with chips and some 2 beers in there as well. Your mind does a little bit of weird things. So in normal reality, you sit at home and you watch the challenge and you say to yourself, why would you sit this out? And why would you sit it out? Why would you choose to go for the reward and not for Immunity Island? And there are a number of reasons why you would. You don't want to create a target on your back. You don't fancy yourself winning, so rather try and be a part of your team winning. I don't know. But at this point, 14 days in, your mind starts to go a bit crazy about food. So it didn't surprise me that the majority of people went for the food. It did surprise me how many of them went for the food. Only Anessa and Teresa did the challenge to go to Immunity Island. And somebody pointed out, I think it was Marisha talking to Carla, or somebody pointed out, yeah, that's the reason why she went, because her idol is fake. Marisha was on the whole time just insisting that Teresa didn't have an idol. She based it on nothing. And that was after she had already been shown the clue or the piece of parchment that comes with the idol. So Marisha had guns blazing for Teresa. Truth be told, I think she had probably guns blazing for her for a while now. So this was just another excuse just to sort of drive the nail in. So Anesu wins her part of the challenge against Teresa, gets to go to Immunity Island. And Nicole wins up against a really good battle with Tyson, both of them playing for their tribe. I think Warda was the last one to fall from her tribe, and was so pissed about that. And finally, Nicole outlasting Tyson, which is great. But also, again, every time you start to win something or you shine at something, it does create a little bit of a, Nicole is like this fit young thing. These kind of challenges where it's how long can you hold something up? How long can you stand? How long can you hold on to a rope? Somebody who's light and fit can do those challenges really well. Katinka, for example, was really good at those challenges. So was Palesa. Super strong, super able to do those things. As soon as you start to win, people start to go, hold on a second, maybe we need to take notice. And there's a word that keeps sort of playing up for me where the word underestimate comes up a lot. And I think a lot of these players went into the game wanting to be underestimated. That was my strategy. I wanted to be underestimated. I wanted people to believe that I couldn't go the distance. What's interesting is that your natural instincts take over. So if you are super competitive and you want to be underestimated, winning is not good in that situation. So somebody like Nicole, who's kind of gone under the radar so far, is in a majority alliance, doing pretty well. All of a sudden she wins a challenge for her whole tribe, an individual part of a challenge for her whole tribe. Maybe some people are now going to start paying attention. So very interesting development there. Toriso has been painted as this solo individual on a mission. But what I did notice is that there was an alliance or some kind of relationship. And I think I actually want to call it a relationship with Renier. I would have loved to have seen that go further. But I think that they've bonded and they have a really good connection, because when her name started to be brought up, one of his confessionals is like, I really don't want Toriso to go home. But it's a very tricky situation. When somebody has so much against them, you want them to stay because you know that that could be a good option for your game. But when so many people are insistent on somebody going home, you kind of just have to go with the flow. It's a very, he did try. There was a lot of conversation about collateral damage. What if this idol that she's playing us with, this piece of paper, is real? What happens then? So it's great editing, great storytelling, incredible characters. We even saw Mauricio with some confessionals. I think even maybe Kian had a confessional. So we're starting to see more from people who have been quiet. One of those people is Kieran. What an episode Kieran had. Wow. Ballsy, ballsy, ballsy move. Actually, you're a whole mood. Somebody asked, would I have chosen to go Immunity Island or Reward? Simply at home, sitting on the couch, I probably would have gone for Immunity Island. Being in the game, I don't know. Don't know if I would have. And they had a really simple game. I say simple because, again, sitting at home, it's a little memory game. I think there were about 8 or 9 little things that she had to remember. Super simple. In the real life, great. You play a lot of memory games, awesome, you'll nail it. Problem is, you haven't had sleep, you haven't had food, you've had very little engagement. And remember, they've been sitting in isolation for a couple weeks before they even step into the game. So a simple thing like remembering a sequence of little figurines in front of you may seem like a super simple task, but after starving your brain of any kind of like movement, the cogs have stiffened a bit. So take that and add a lack of sleep and no food and the paranoia, your brain struggles. So something as simple as that game could have been very tricky for her. She made up a little rhyme, managed to remember it, smashed the challenge. One of the things that she got along with her immunity was, if she chose to stay and play, she got a tribal pass. And I was chatting to LaRue about it. That tribal pass basically allows Anesu, and I'll read it to you. She chose to stay and play at Immunity Island, and she beat the clock, guaranteeing herself immunity and winning a tribal pass, which will allow her to choose one person or herself, I checked that, to leave tribal council and head straight back to camp before the vote is cast. So I needed to get clarity, because that's a really powerful thing, especially if you could play it like, hey, just before the votes are read, right? You can be like, hey, I'm leaving, boom. But before the votes are cast. So that will throw a huge spanner in the works. If, for example, you have a majority of people wanting to vote out me, and Anesu plays that idol for me, then I leave, I go. So now all of a sudden tribal council is in shambles. Now throw into the mix anybody playing idols. So now you were going to split idols. You're going to split votes because people might have idols. So you were going to cover yourself in that way. Now all of a sudden there's this other thing that she can use on herself. So if she starts to feel that there is problems coming, she can choose to play that on herself. If she starts, there's something that happens at tribal council. If you go back and listen to the videos of people who have been voted out, you can sometimes tell with the language and what's happening at tribal council that you might be in trouble. And the problem is it might be too late to do anything about it. So if she gets an idea that something is brewing and it's feeling bad towards herself, she can then decide to leave tribal council immediately. She can play this now, or she can play it deeper into the game. This is an interesting thing to have in your back pocket. Can she keep it a secret? So far, nobody that has any kind of advantage has kept it a secret in their hands. Santoni's managed to keep hers a secret, the one that is at tribal council. So she still has the opportunity to grab that. When that will happen, we don't know. But LaRousse mentioned something to me very interestingly, that when Teresa was having that piece of paper, and she was showing it to people, there was a bit at the end that said idols can be played up until final 6. And that's apparently the bit that she was showing Dino and Renier and Marisha, which before you had to play it until final 5. So it just makes it, you know, sometimes the idols can wreak havoc on your game. It can, you could have had an incredible social game. You could have an incredible strategic game, and idols just, the more they are out there, the more difficult it is actually to read the game, to play a strong game, because you're kind of at the mercy of chance. Who has an idol? How do they play it? Who do they play it for? There's a lot going on. The deeper you can hold on to an idol, the more you guarantee yourself like a place, if you can play it well, deeper into the game. So by stopping you playing it earlier, it gives people at that end part of the game where you really just have to play, because idols are no longer a thing, and it's all about your connections, your relationships, your strategic game, winning challenges, and your alliances, and how strong you are as a player. So it takes out a lot of chance deep into the game, which is going to be interesting to see how long people can hold on to these advantages and whether they play them correctly, because you could be holding on to an advantage. And as Tyson mentioned in his one of his confessionals before the vote, is he wasn't going to go home with this idol in his pocket. And that tribal council, I'll get there in a few minutes, but yeah, that thing was frantic. I'm not sure we've seen one where there were so many whispering and talking and stuff going on. I want to point out right now that one of the players of this episode, and it's funny because she went home, it was Teresa. Oftentimes, and you see it time and time again in Survivor, when you are up against the wall and you have no option, you know you're at the bottom. You've done everything. You tried to win to go to Immunity Island. You did that. You've hunted around for a clue, for an idol. You've tried to cause chaos where you can. You've tried to, throw light onto somebody else. You've done everything you can do. Oftentimes, what will happen is you will just lie down and be like, okay, my game's done. Sorry. Because you've literally gone every avenue you can. Not Teresa. Teresa is like, how can I blow up this game? Because if I'm going with the place burning. Because she literally had strong strategic minds in this game, questioning everything until the very, very last minutes of tribal council. And that to me is a super strong strategic player and understanding of humans. Where her game let her down was her social game. She is not used to not speaking up in this game, you are surrounded by people you never normally would be surrounded by. People who push your buttons, and that's great TV. But as a human, you're like, how does this work in your brain? How do you go through your day with these kind of ideals and values, for example? A lot of people throw around values and ideals as this set thing that everybody decided on. But again, just like common sense, that's subjective. It depends how you were raised. It depends what you believe in. It depends on a whole bunch of things. And if you're surrounded by people who don't have the same values and morals and like worldview as you do, it is very exhausting to try and exist, especially when you're like down at the bottom of the barrel. Something that occurred to me in this episode, Teresa and Tyson started talking in vernacular. And I had a conversation with Teresa, and I've noticed in this episode or in the show so far that there are a lot of Afrikaans people, which means that there's a lot of Afrikaans being spoken around. And it's not encouraged, right? Because the show is an English show. It's at the moment being broadcast to Australia. They won't understand. I mean, we have subtitles, yes. But there's a lot that gets said on the beach, and it can happen in little silos. And if you're not a part of that, so Teresa not maybe being able to follow all of the conversations in Afrikaans, maybe she can, I'm assuming here. But I thought it was so interesting when they started speaking vernacular, how all of a sudden people were like, oh, this is interesting. And I thought, yes, claim it back, because for so long you've been sitting there while other people have been talking in their home language, their natural language, and here you are taking it back and speaking and now discussing. And it was almost like the most honest moment in the episode, because you could see Tyson was pissed. And at that moment, it was so interesting to see how he switched. And look, him and Teresa and Tyson were kind of together. They were doing things together. And there was that moment on the beach with Kian accidentally saying the wrong thing and Tyson hearing something that he shouldn't, going back to tell Teresa, and then Teresa going back to the tribe and saying, hey, Tyson told me. And Tyson was so pissed that he just blew everything up. He's like, oh, well, I'm not going to help her. I'm not going to save her. This is what's going to happen. I'm playing my idol for myself, everybody for themselves. In that moment of getting so angry, I hope that Tyson hasn't blown up his game, because he played an idol successfully. There were lots of votes against him. He came second in the challenge. He is liked by a lot of people. He is strategic. He's undercover. He's smart. He's aligned with very strong people. I hope that he's able to put it all and calm down and go back to just cruising and controlling a lot of things, but like from low, but by exploding and like burning and sending home somebody who he seemed to have quite a bit of trust with. I hope that hasn't screwed him up a bit, but we will see. In the throw forward to the next episode, Kieran says, I think the words are, Tyson likes his revenge served as hot or something like that. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Tyson is serving his hot or something like that. So I am super excited for what's about to happen next week, because I think Tyson is in a really delicate position at the moment, because it can either go stratospheric, he can smash it out, he can take out some massive players, or he can burn things and take people out and cause chaos, and he becomes the target. Somebody asked me in the questions before we started, and if you do want to ask a question, just tap the question button and we'll get to them. Cassie Lee Miller asked me, are tribals long? It seems to take forever, the double tribal, right? So both teams, y'all going to tribal. Sorry, 2 of you are going home, which sucks. That tribal council, we've had a double one before. It was after Martinez chose to leave the game. We were kind of left, oh, now what? We both went to tribal council, but only one person went home. 2 people didn't go home. Annalise was voted from our tribe onto the other tribe, from their tribe onto our tribe, excuse me. And somebody else was voted out. We've not had a tribal council where 2 people are literally voted out. Your tribe votes, our tribe votes, goodbye, 2 people, blah, blah, blah. We lost 2 great players, we lost 2 great characters in one episode. I felt like I needed to come home and cry because I love Carla and I love Teresa, and now I've got to find new loves. Thanks, everybody. Shot for that. How long is the tribal council? The people who are sitting there might not even know this. If you had to guess, how long would that tribal council gone on for? How long would they have been sitting on those logs? How many times would they have had to get up and have a little break? It went on for 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours. Our final tribal council of our season was about 3.5 hours. This thing went on for an extra 60 minutes. Guys, tribal council is exhausting. It's like this roller coaster. There are moments when you are not even the one who is in the middle of it. You know you are safe. Somebody will be asked something and they answer it in a way that just makes you go, was that aimed at me? Am I in trouble? It is the most like adrenaline filled, panicky 4.5 hours you've ever had. Now imagine walking out after that. Your emotions are raw. You, like somebody like Tyson who had votes cast against him, he is pissed. And after 4.5 hours, you've got no control now. You literally are an emotional wreck. You're pissed off, you're tired, you're hungry, you're like over human beings, and now you got to go back and lie down next to people and sleep with them. Woo! This next episode's gonna be fire, guys. Absolute fire. So Cassidy Lee Miller, 4.5 hours is what the tribal council was. Imagine the editing on that, guys. I mean, you saw it. They were eating boerewors rolls and then there was nothing left and it was pissing with rain. This season is absolutely incredible. That they could take 4.5 hours and just bring it into that confined space. It was brilliant to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love tribal council. I love watching it. I don't enjoy being there. It's horrible. But I really enjoy as a viewer watching it. So to get such a lot of tribal council in one episode and to see where, I mean, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Kieran. This, for me, the player of the episode. The most ballsy move. In his video where they like interview the people before they go on, they all had like little bylines and little sayings and stuff. His was, underestimate me gladly, I'll lead from behind. And that is exactly what he did. That man said, I'm so confident that I am correct in my understanding of who is where and what is what. And I want to prove my loyalty to this alliance and to certain people. I'm willing for you to vote my name twice. What? Nobody does that. Nobody willingly says, yeah, sure, you can put my name down. That is one of the ballsiest moves I've ever seen. And it could have gone horribly wrong, but it didn't. I did pop a little bit when his name came up twice. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Because in that moment where Rainier and Marisha and Dino and Tyson saying, vote for me, I'm going to play my idol. Rainier turning to Teresa saying, you need to play your idol. Anything could have gone wrong, but it didn't. But whoo, that move, wow. I'm confident. I don't know anything like behind the scenes, but I'm confident in the fact that Kieran and Tyson, I don't know how solid Dino is with them, but in that episode he seemed super like solid. But those players, if Renier is also solid in there, that is trouble for a lot of people. But Kieran and Tyson seem very tight, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how that develops. Because if you have such strong characters and such strong players, at some point they're both going to try and turn on each other. So it's going to be very interesting to watch that dynamic play out, and who is going to pull the trigger first. And it's so interesting that we're talking about this and it's only episode 5. We are, I don't think, that close to merge. We still have 14 players in the game. At the moment, there are 7 women and 7 men. So there is so much to be played still. But I'm very keen to keep my eye on Kieran and Tyson and how that plays out. Because Kieran followed through. Tyson followed through. They've proven themselves. So what happens now? It's going to be very interesting. Let me get to some of the comments that have come through. I'm sorry, we're only doing it now. If you have any questions, please pop them below. Yes, apologies if I do swear. I don't know. I don't have an excuse. I have already sworn. I said it was pissing rain. I do want to talk about Duarte before we go. This is all out of context at the moment. Tyson was very controlled this far, and losing control of Teresa this round almost unraveled him. He'll have to handle it better to survive. Yeah, he's been so cool, calm, and collective. The cast is so likable. All the vote-offs here on out are going to be tough to watch. Agreed. Hello, Auntie Mo. Kieran also said, I like to throw things. So in true fashion, throw your votes on me. Yeah, flip, guys. That move was like amazing. Okay, so if you have any questions, there were some more I will get to here. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Teresa making people having to scramble. I mentioned it, that it's so easy to just, I'm going to be voted out. There's nothing I can do. But she made some really, really strong people start questioning, and I thought that was really powerful. And a thing that I think will stick with me for her character, and how she played the game. She had such a cool view on it, and it was so sad to see that she couldn't early enough make proper connections. Maybe look, to be honest with you, we're seeing the edited version. There must have been a relationship with Renier for him to try and like want to save her, not being able to pull it off though. But really, really cool to see that somebody like that had an idea. Give me your paper. I need to use that as leverage. So many things happening, but had literally that whole tribe reeling, scrambling. Does she have it? Doesn't she have it? They came up with about 4 or 5 different plans. How are we going to manage this? How are we going to vote? Where are we going to vote? Who's going to vote for who? And then then Kieran's like, oh sure, vote, put 2 on me as well. Let's talk about Carla, guys. She has been on the chopping block almost from day one. So I think all of us saw it when Mike was voted out. I think Carla's had a very difficult time to try and get back into a position of power, especially after I won't say backstabbing, but like voting and not telling Chappies about it. Chappies at the moment is an interesting character. He's in a strong position. I am going to put something out there that I believe might happen with Chappies. I don't know anything. This has not been whispered to me. I think Chappies is going to get caught up on his confidence, aka his cockiness. He is very confident in himself as a Survivor player. The language that he's using around camp, around tribal councils, at challenges even. I mean, I don't know if it was this challenge or the previous episode, but when he was like, oh no, we're doing just fine. We have fire. We have la 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 la. He's just full of it, really. And I think he may get caught out by his inability to actually see what's happening because of how hard he believes that he is in the right and he's doing the right thing. So it's hard to see right now, but he is in a very good position. I don't think he's going to make it to the merge, though. I think he is a person who the others will worry about in challenges. I think he is a good swimmer. I think they worry about him making relationships and also not really like caring who he sticks with. He's like, you guys screwed me over. I'm going to vote all of you out one by one. And that's how it is because you lied to me. Like, dude, chill. Like, listen to them, because if you don't start listening to other people and their opinions and what they think should happen, you're going to get it at some point. They're going to turn on you. Hilgard asked me, how difficult is it for Warda to come back now after losing Carla? Warda is such a strong player, guys. Listen to the way that she speaks. You do not want to sit at the end with Warda at final. Thinking about his life, sorry for the pause. You do not want to sit at the end with Warda using English words coming out of her mouth. She is such a great speaker, and she does have her game, did have her game heavily tied to Carla's game. But that tribe is imploding. So I have a little bit of faith that Warda is going to be able to sit back and let other players start to cause drama around her. I think she's going to scrape through. That's my prediction. She's so good at making relationships with people. Santoni even mentions it, that she cooks really well. Was it Santoni? I think so. Santoni said something about her cooking really well, so you don't want to really vote her out. That is a great position to be in. It is the most frustrating position to be in, to be the person cooking every day. Because, well, it depends. Sometimes it's like, oh, at least you have something to do because the days are long and super boring. But it's also frustrating when people, thankfully Paul is gone for Warda, because he just demanded 3 meals a day. So for somebody to be in that position and to be on the bottom of this group, and you're here and you have to work really hard, or if you're not cooking, like, what good are you to the tribe kind of thing? That's not a great position to be in, but at least you have something that you are contributing towards the tribe. So at the moment, you guys keep losing and they don't have this extra food that people maybe win at challenges. So they're looking at it saying, oh, we can eat decent food with Warda around, or we can vote her out and have food that some other random person's going to make that is horrible. So that's at least something. But my prediction is that the people in that tribe at the moment are going to start scrambling. They're going to start to wonder when merge is coming. And they are going to start to want to take out the big players before they get there. So it is going to be some very, very interesting episodes coming up. When are they going to merge? Somebody said at 15 because there's place for 15 polls. I'm assuming that was because of the previous episode where they had a combined tribal council. My prediction will be normally it's around 11, 9, somewhere there. So I think we've got a few episodes still to go, unless they start chopping 2 at a time. Then we need to regroup and have a different discussion. But at the moment, it is full on. Oh, somebody did ask me. Yes, I will get there right now. Thomeski asked me the odds of the diplomatic immunity being used, and you've asked it here again. Wonder if the diplomatic immunity will ever be used. And that is in Chappie's position. And it's so interesting because I was thinking about this last week when he lost Paul, and I thought, okay, maybe he's on the bottom. Maybe if he starts to feel something, he will flip over. I think Chappie's is going to be so confident in himself and his alliances that he will be blindsided before he gets to use it. He fancies himself very strong in his tribe, in his position in the tribe. So to be honest with you, I think that diplomatic immunity is going to go unplayed, because he can only really use it in the next couple of episodes. And unless things start to turn for him and he starts to noticeably feel like he's at the bottom, he won't jump, because he's very confident in his game and who he's playing with. So we will see. Hilgard also asked me, Nicole seems to be chief in charge, little questioning her. Is that a fair assessment? I don't think that that's the case. Yes, people are not really questioning her, but I think she's in a very strong majority. She's in that woman alliance as well. And Marisha seems to be in the middle of that as well. So she's in a very strong position. We don't know who the person is that's ultimately making the calls. It seems to be like you do one, and then we're going to come back around here. But I don't think that she's in charge, but I also don't think a lot of people are noticing her. But after this win at the challenge, I'm not sure that will continue to be the case. People might look at her and go, likable, decent at challenges, under the radar, well-spoken, aligned with a lot of people. So I don't think that's going to continue. Hopefully it does. I really am rooting for women this year. But my favorite at the moment is Kieran, not a woman, but wow, what a player. So he's my number 1 pick at the moment. And Tyson is also very close thereabouts. Heelgard says, I think Chappie's trips as soon as Santoni pulls the plug on him. She's been diverting his target a lot. Yep. Santoni becoming Chappie's Durao, maybe. Santoni has been shown to be much more a player than Durao, 100%. The problem with Santoni is whether she's able to, say, for example, she goes all the way to the end, is to be able to actually convince people of how she's actually playing. We're seeing the edited version, right? So we're seeing her do all these things, but the people at home don't know that she's been, although it has been said, people have been talking, Buarda and Carla were talking about Santoni and how she's this double agent and how long can that continue, and maybe we need to look at it. Santoni also has in the back pocket her hidden immunity idol at Tribal Council. I worry about this damn idol every time she's there. When she goes to pick up her torch, I'm like, yes, she's going to get it. Nope, the episode is done. So I'm worried that somebody else gets a clue to it and grabs it before she does. Imagine banking your whole game on the fact that you're going to play that idol when you need it, and somebody else goes to immunity idol and gets the same clue and uses it the week before you do. And you go there, base everything, sure, vote for me, whatever, la 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 la. Don't grab the idol. It gives me hives just thinking about it. Marius called merge at 15. Didn't happen. Marius says, I love Santoni, and not saying she's playing like Durard, just yep. Yelgard and Marius are battling between the two of them. Okay, so who are some of the players for me that are kind of doing well, but not really causing any drama? So somebody like Anela, super chilled, likable dude. In pretty decent alliances. The thing that trips me up about him is this idea that he doesn't want to lie to people. And the fact that people let him get away with not voting for Paul because he's like, I told him I wouldn't vote for him, so like I don't want to vote for him. What? This is Survivor. You have to vote for people who you may like. It sucks. So I don't know how long that can continue, because if he makes it to merge and somebody says, you know what, I don't want to vote for Jean because I really like her, and at the end of this, I want to tell her that I never voted for her. That's not going to fly. Because then, if I'm on the jury and Anela didn't vote for me, I'm going to want to give him my vote. So I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to be allowed to fly for too long. So anyway, yeah, diplomatic immunity, don't think it's going to be a thing because it's in Chappie's hands, so perhaps not. What happened to tree mail? Is it still a thing? It is still a thing. It happens every single day. However, we're used to it now. We know that it happens, and it takes time away from the episode. Do you want to see them bickering on the beach, or do you want to see them reading a piece of paper that tells them what's going to happen? I think in terms of the edit, in terms of storytelling, they've decided to throw it in every now and again. Paul read one the other day. So it's thrown in there every day. We get it, but you just don't need to see it. It's something... It's the way for production, for the producers, the directors to communicate with us what is going to be happening today. Sometimes you don't get a tree mail, which means it's a very long day. So it is there. It happens every day. Every time that there's a challenge, it happens. But we don't really need to see it. I'm going to assume that the next time we see it is when they're going to merge. That's probably when we see it again. But it is still happening every day. It's just... There's so much happening that they don't need to edit it in. Heelgod says, in a secret scene this week, Anela caught a bit of flack with Amy and kind of shrugged off the tribe. Not indicative of a good social standing. Yeah, I don't know where he is at the moment. I don't know. Tremail does not have protection of information. Yes. They SMS me and I said, I don't want to hear it. I'm opting out. We spoke about Chappies. We spoke about, Dino. It's so interesting because somebody like Dino is probably the nicest human being in real life. He is fun-loving, just jolly little human. He is a joker, always laughing. You can see him. He's self-deprecating. He's a lacquer oak. This guy at the moment is struggling so badly. I don't know this. I haven't spoken to him, but the paranoia in this game is crippling him because at every given turn, he is thinking that the worst is going to happen to him. If you look at the splitting of the votes, and I will give him credit because a vote split is a very tricky thing to get correct because, as he says, if somebody plays an idol and it's the wrong split of votes and somebody you weren't expecting, you could be collateral damage. It's one of the reasons I never wanted to split the votes. Thank goodness in the moments that I insisted we don't split the votes, that people never played the idol. Had it happened when Palesa had an idol with her and she didn't play it and she went home, holy crickets, we didn't split the votes, but had that not panned out well for me, I would have had to go back to tribal and be like, my bad, guys, my bad. Would have lost one of my own because of a silly little thing like that. So you don't want to be the collateral damage, but the paranoia is so intense that you start to second guess whether the sun will come up the next day. You start to second guess the people that you, at this moment in the game, can trust. So there are times in the game where you can't trust anybody. But at this point, with Dino and his alliance, they're doing well and they sort of can trust each other, and they've proven it. He is so paranoid at the moment that I'm scared that it's going to catch him on the backside. Because he's seeing drama and problems and twists and turns where they may not be there. And I will tell you, there are lots of drama and twists and turns and things that you do need to be aware of. But in this situation, it's very difficult for him to keep a handle on that, and it's spilling out. So you're seeing him in these conversations in the tribe be like, yo, what about collateral damage, guys? Collateral damage. Like, what if it's me? What if it's me? Cool. I'm not saying he's not valid in his paranoia. It's flippin' paranoia-inducing stuff. Can he keep a handle on it enough that he's able to see the game for what it is, what is actually happening, not what he thinks going to happen, but what is happening in the moment. So it's going to be interesting for him to keep a handle on that and tone it down. I don't know. I think it's going to get the best of him. Marisha is somebody who is under the radar at the moment, had a couple of confessionals. I think is going to be a massive target once we start individual games. I don't think she makes it to merge, because I think people will vote her out and would be scared of her taking a immunity run. I think she probably makes it to merge and then goes home very soon afterwards. I don't know why I think that, but that's if I were in the game, she would have a massive target on her back in my eyes. So if I were playing the game, which I'm not, but if I were, she would be somebody who I would desperately want gone before we merge. If that happens, it's going to throw a lot of things in the mix. When people start to realize, hold on, this individual game is coming. What do we do then? Who do we really want to play against? When people start doing that chopping and changing, mixing up alliances, because they don't want to play against him in the individual game, we're going to start to see fireworks. And these big characters that we think are going to go deep into the game might not make it at all. Hilgard says, I admire the confidence with which Marisha is playing, going up against Chappie. She did not stand back. Possible idle in play. Calls it out the first thing at Tribal. I don't know. I think Marisha is used to, when I ask you something, you respond to me and you tell me. If I want something, you need to tell me. If I need to know something, you need to tell me. Okay, cool. If people work for you and that's the case, that's the case. If it's your friends, cool. But this, however, is Survivor. If you tell me I need to tell you something, I don't have to listen to you. I'm an adult. You're an adult. I may be making a huge mistake, but it is my choice to make. If I don't want to tell you something, Lord, if I have got 9 lives or 1 life, I do not have to tell you. If I said I was going to tell you, I don't have to tell you. If I said I was going to tell you, maybe I'll tell you. But that's my prerogative. That's the game that I'm playing. And so Marisha feels entitled to the game that she's playing. And I don't know if it's going to harm her. I also feel she's in that Chappie's camp, where she's so confident that she's not going to be aware of all of a sudden when the game switches and people are going to come for her. So I will watch those two, Chappies and Marisha. I think they're blinded by their comfort in their skills, their social game, or whatever it might be. I think they are lulled into a bit of resting back. I'm cool. I'm connected with a whole bunch of people. I'm in the right alliances. I've got the majority. Until you don't. So I think she may be caught off guard. I don't know. Kian putting her foot in it. I want to see more from her. She's an interesting character. I read somewhere, or it was on her Instagram or something, she said a hilarious comment about You saw in the challenge when I knew I was going to fall, I grabbed the pot of rice because I'm Asian. We don't waste rice. I'm with you, girl. One of the first things I said in that challenge was like, why are they wasting so much rice? There's food there, guys. But I think they were blinded by the boerewors rolls, which looked bloody delicious. And Nicole also asking for pina colada. The confidence in this game. If we could bottle that, we would be quite wealthy. All right, guys, let's start wrapping it up. Are there any more comments, predictions, questions that you want to throw out that we haven't got to? Any big moments in the game that we didn't get to? Any big predictions about Immunity Island, about idols in play, about idols coming up? We spoke about everybody, really. We haven't spoken really much about Reinier, but he's still solidly strong. He's got a great game. He is aligned with the correct people. And even though he's got these feelings for people, which are real, you can see the guy cares deeply for the people he's playing with. He is not willing to go and fight all the way for them because he knows it will harm his game. Super smart. Like his EQ and his ability to read the game is super impressive. But I don't know how they're going to be able to vote him out because he's so aware of what's happening and he's talking to so many different people that Reinier is going to have to be the biggest blindside of the season. So if he makes it to merge, guys, Reinier's one to watch. I don't want to say he's a favorite because he's too strong, and I like an underdog, but I think he's a very, very strong player. He's got such a survivor mind, so he'll be one to watch. We didn't speak about Sean. Sean was kind of under the radar. We love Sean. He's a good time. He, I think, really didn't want to vote Carla out. I think they had a good relationship. Carla in her confessional said, I never want to talk to Sean again. Sorry, Sean. Not much in terms of Sean action on the episode, but I'm sure it's coming. We spoke a lot about Tyson and Warda, two very strong players. Amy wasn't very front and center in this episode, but still seems to be in a very strong position, even coming back after her lie that seemed to have sort of gone away. Hey guys, this season is very full of nonsense. What vote out do you think will blow the game wide open? I think if people had to vote Reinier out now, it would be like a bomb. But I think people voting out Chappies will be seen as an explosion. He's got so many connections with a lot of people. So I think that would be a big vote. Anesu's kind of under the radar, but connected to a bunch of people. I don't think she's got a massive target on her back at the moment. If somebody voted out Kira now, I'd be like, what? Where did that come from? But the after effects of him saying, put votes on me, I want to see what happens. That's going to have raised questions. Remember, that whole tribal council was sat in front of the other tribe. The secrets and the gameplay was at the front and center. So if you are on the other tribe and you've never really got to know some of the players, all of a sudden you may know them as a really strong survivor player. Somebody like Kieran who said, cool, I said vote for me, put votes on my name, I'm trying to prove my loyalty. If it doesn't work out, I'm willing to go home. Ballsy move, and the other tribe get to see that. That's gold. So yeah, some of the votes I think would have, anyway. Reinier is alpha without being the alpha stereotype. Really want him to go far. He will go far. Clever but not cocky is exactly how I would describe him. He's so aware of how he's making other people feel. I very clearly remember when he voted out Jason, and it was a case of sitting, listening. Jason's going 100 miles a minute, going a million miles a minute, and he was able to listen to it and be like, and then go back and calmly be like, you didn't listen to me. This is how it's now going to go. Clinical, like smart, like super people playing the game. What are saying? No, there's tribal council wasn't in front of us. Correct, sorry, it was the other way around. However, watching somebody else be a tribal council and doing the things that they do is superpower. So that's what I mean. If you're doing big moves and the other people get to see it, and you don't, like, for instance, if you've never actually been on a tribe with somebody, and that must have happened because some people didn't actually swap. So some people never actually would have met yet, I think, properly. You meet at the challenges, but not really. So to see somebody else get that insight into their game, that's really cool to watch and see unfolding in front of you. So I don't know what's in store for us, guys. I don't know what's in store for us, but I know I'm going to need some anti-anxieties because there's a lot. And we're only on episode 5. Guys, the season is moving so quickly. Amy, you are late. It is over and we are wrapping up. However, I did charge my phone properly today, so apologies for not uploading it last week. I know a bunch of you can't watch live, so my phone, I had it plugged in on charge, but the little thingamajang wasn't actually pushed all the way in. So my phone died. Any other last comments? We're going to wrap it up and just anticipate and hope and pray that episode 6 is just as pumping as episode 5. I don't know how we can do that because we had 2 tribal councils. We're probably going to have 2 monster challenges next week, not tomorrow. Next week, if I were in charge of content, that's what I would do. You would have to follow up that episode with, like, I don't know, bungee jumping or something, because goodness gracious, it was a lot. I'm so sad that Carla is gone. I am so sad that Teresa is gone. Honestly, there were such great characters. And as somebody mentioned, every vote from here on out, I will tell you, there will be some people when they leave, I will not shed a tear. But yeah. Amy, that's fine. You can catch it afterwards. So you think they actually got some info that was worthwhile from watching the other tribe? 100%, because remember I said it was 4.5 hours. They definitely got information, even if it's like who speaks well, who is working with who is whispering to who is interacting really well with Nico. It doesn't matter what the information is. Information is golden. So to be able to sit in on one of the most important parts of the game and watch the other tribe, which that stuff's supposed to happen in secret. You're not supposed to know when people are airing their laundry. Yeah, you're sitting. Let me eat my food. Watch the drama. Now I think it's good. It's going to be interesting. 4.5 hours, guys. Tribal Council was long. Their butts would have been numb after that, let me tell you. I think it was maybe done for a reason, Hildegard. Absolutely. Absolutely, it would have been done for a reason. I'm interested, very, very definitely standing by with a notebook to see what happens after each of them go back. Because normally we go back to the tribes and somebody was voted out from this tribe. We go back and we see what the fallout was there. We now get 2 of those. That moment coming back to the beach on the season is like, not this season, but most of the season is some of my favorite viewing. Because there's so many emotions that are like running rampant. And for me, the one to watch next week when they get back to the beach is what Tyson is going to do. That oak is fuming. I'm going to be watching to see if he can calmly like channel his rage and then burn the place down the next day. Oh, guys, that moment on the beach is going to be so much. Any last points? We're running out of minutes. In fact, my timer is about to go off. There it is going off. Guys, we have to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you very much for asking questions. Thank you for loving the season as much as we do. Thank you for all the castaways for joining us. You shouldn't be here, but you are. I keep telling you, don't listen to what we're saying. We don't know a thing. We're only getting bits and pieces of the episode. We don't actually know you as human beings. I would like to know a bunch of you. Some of you I don't. I'm already making enemies. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will upload it. If you know somebody didn't catch it, please share it with them. Tag whoever you need to. I'll put it onto my YouTube channel. Otherwise, have a fantastic week, guys. Please, COVID is raging. Stay at home if you can. Wear your mask. Do all the things you need to do. But please, please, please stay safe. I don't want to hear of any of our Sunday fam getting COVID and being really ill. It's raging, guys. Just be safe. Take care. And we will see you on Sunday. Enjoy the episode on Thursday, guys. Bye!